Takes his feet, rifles it downfield. D.D. Goodson, end zone. Makes the grab. Snap, put down, swings the right leg. Ball is up, plenty of distance on the way, and it is good. At the 45, there's a fumble. Picked up by Greg Henderson. He'll take it back. 30, 25, 20, 15. Right, grabbed around the ankles, and there's number 44. Addison Gillum once again. 45, he's got a blocker by Spruce to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Swarmed under. The Buffs defense does a great job bringing him down back at the 19-yard line. Touchdown! Touchdown, Colorado!
Well, BG, football season's just about here. We got the Rocky Mountain Showdown coming up in a few days. Thought it'd be a good idea to sneak out in the river one more time before the football's kicked off.
Yeah, Mark, this is a pretty good way to end up a good summer and talk a little football, talk a little Buffs football.
But you and I have been around this thing for a long time, and I think, watching Matt go into year number 2, I like the way this thing feels right now. I mean, after 4 wins a year ago, you can kind of sense this thing's got a little forward momentum to it, can't you?
Yeah, I think in year 2, Mark, that you can expect improvement. I think year 1 is a feeling out process for everybody, and that includes players and coaches. And in year 2, there's a familiarity there that you really can't put a price on. I mean, it's really going to be noticeable, I think. It has been to me through summer camp.
You know, BG, if you're going to have a successful football team, as we talk about this thing moving forward, it's always important to have your quarterback. And, without question, I think the first time, and this is my 11th season now with the Buffaloes, I think for the first time since maybe Joel Klatt, the Buffaloes have got a really established quarterback right now at Sefo Liufau.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see improvement in Sefo. Brian Lindgren, the OC and quarterbacks coach, wants to see a 60 to 65% completion ratio, so he's there. But he really says that he did a lot of things wrong last year. In his first year, he wants to improve on his decision making more than anything else. So I think that's where you're going to see his biggest improvement.
You know, Butch, when you think about it too, Sefo's only a sophomore, really not even a full season under his belt. And yet his teammates thought enough about him to vote him a captain this season. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the fact that Sefo was a freshman last year, he's a sophomore now, voted a captain, I think that speaks highly of him, and I think it speaks highly for his presence in the huddle. He's a take charge kind of guy, and I think you saw that in several games last year.
And although undoubtedly this is Sefo's team, it's important, I think, with the style of football you're seeing right now in college football to have 2 quarterbacks. Jordan Gerke's been pretty impressive as a backup, and it seems so guys really like him. He's gotten some first-team snaps, and so should Sefo, knock on wood, not go down, I think the Buffs got a pretty good one that can come in behind him.
Yeah, Jordan Gerke has really made strides in the 2 seasons that he's been here. He had a great spring. He had a really good fall camp, and I look for great things. Brian Lindgren says that he has no qualms about using Jordan, and I can see why. I'm going to change tactics here a little bit and put on a small weight just to see if it'll change my luck.
Butch, Sefo and Jordan Gerke can only be as good as that offensive line, and maybe for the first time in a long time, Colorado's got numbers, and it looks like they've got some impressive guys up front now playing that offensive line position this season.
Yeah, the thing that impresses me is that you got quality depth. It's young depth, but I think at the same time you got guys that can play. At the center position, you got 5 guys that Gary Bernardi is trying to work in there, and I mean he's got options there. So you've got quality players. You got a good transfer in Shane Callahan who came in from Auburn. So I look for improvement in that area.
You know, Butch, I like the stable of running backs Colorado's got this season. I mean, you got Christian Powell, experienced guy, big guy. Michael Atkins was good last year, a veteran of Tony Jones. And, boy, you talk to the guys in the team, everyone's got something to say about Philip Lindsay, the Denver South kid.
Yeah, I like Philip Lindsay. I like what he brings. I like his change of pace. I like the way he can make people miss. And at that position, you got some different guys. You've got Christian Powell, who's 230 pounds and really can run over people. And you've got Michael Adkins, who showed what he could do last year as a freshman. You got Tony Jones, who lends experience there and is also a good proven running back. We're not catching too many fish, but we're having pretty good success in catching each other. This is the second time that Johnson and I have tangled up, and at least I felt a tug on the line.
Well, we're only catching each other here. Let's hope the wide receivers for the Buffaloes are making a lot of catches this season. Certainly a big hole to fill without Paul Richardson being out there. Second-round draft pick by Seattle. But there are some pretty good guys. Nelson Spruce, Brian Lindgren talks glowingly about him. Shea Fields, a young guy. Bryce Bobo. Looks like it's probably a deeper receiving core than we've had for the Buffaloes in quite some time. BG?
I like the depth at the receiving core. As Mark said, Bryce Bobo had a good spring. He's a quality guy. Shea Fields, incoming freshman. They think highly of him. And you don't talk receivers without talking about Nelson Spruce. He's the steadiest guy, I think, at that position in a long time. He's averaged just under 50 catches for the last 2 seasons and 500 yards a season. So he can do it.
It's not easy fishing or hunting when the creature you're going after is smarter than you are. And that seems to be the difficulty we've got going on right now. You know, BG, when we're talking about the Buffs and forward momentum and great energy and everything, when the fans get to Folsom Field for the first time for that home opener on September 13th, it's a night game against Arizona State. They're going to see what's going on with all the upgrades and facilities. And I don't need to tell you, as long as you've been around the program, there haven't been a project of this magnitude since Dal Ward was built way back in 1991. So a lot of excitement there, too.
Yeah, Mark, the facilities project is really something that fires me up, and I think fires up everybody who's been around the program for so long. It's been talked about and talked about and talked about for, going on maybe 20 years. And everybody I run into is kind of awestruck that it's finally here. It's underway. There's tangible proof that there's going to be improvements in facilities. So it's really an exciting time.
Hey, Butch, how about the defensive front? I like some of those guys. Josh Tupou has become a man up there. Judah Parker's one of the captains. Look to him to maybe get some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And I think, love the name too, and the lineage, of course. Derek McCartney looks to be a young player that could make some noise this season.
Yeah, I like the fact that Judah Parker's lining up inside now, moving from end to tackle. Maybe gets a little speed going in there for a rush inside and getting more inside pressure on the quarterback. Two guys that I think you better watch, two freshmen, are Christian Shaver and Michael Matthews. They've been lining up at defensive end and getting significant time in camp at those positions. They're freshmen, but they've obviously played pretty well.
That's a perfect drift right there. Come on now, take it. Nothing again. Butch, let's talk some linebackers for a moment. Guess if you're looking at that group, Addison Gillum obviously was phenomenal last year. Top 5 in the Pac-12 in total tackles. Hard to believe he can get a whole lot better, but he's a kid that I think everyone needs to keep an eye on this year. They got a veteran guy like Woodson Greer, and Kenneth Olabode, I think, is a young, exciting player for Colorado defensively at linebacker.
I like this linebacker core. I think it's going to be faster than last year. Kenneth Olabode is a very, very fast player. He was a tailback in high school, and I'm thinking that with a season under his belt and with Addison Gillum also playing the position, Woodson Greer, you're going to have a pretty strong linebacking core.
You know, Butch, the only way you're going to catch any fish standing over there in the sideline is you swing by Safeway on the way home.
Well, I expected that from you. I've heard a lot worse from you, to tell the truth, but we're on camera. So anyway, I'll be back in business here very soon, and I'm still looking to catch the first one, and you are too.
You know, while you were over there blabbing about linebackers, I actually had a bite here a moment ago. Hey, let's go to the back end of the defense. In the pass-happy Pac-12, it's important to have not only some experience back there, but some speed. Now, the Buffs have got that. I think you got some pretty good corners. Greg Henderson's been around, seems like forever. He's been fantastic. Kenneth Crowley continues to get better. But I tell you what, safety, I know there's a number of guys that the Buffs are looking at there. And it certainly hurt when Jared Bell, one of the veteran guys in the back end of that defense, went down with an ACL injury. But overall, looks like that's a pretty good group in year number 2 for Mike McIntyre.
Yeah, the back end, I think, is going to be pretty solid, even without Jared Bell. That's a loss, no question about that. But the thing I like about Charles Clark and Mike McIntyre, who's now coaching the corners, what I like that they're doing, they're teaching guys more than one position. They call it double teaching. And it allows them to have depth at every position in the secondary and plug in guys when they need to be plugged in there for whatever reason.
BG, one area of this team there's not a whole lot of question marks. That's a kicking game. Dar O'Neill, Will Oliver. I guess the only difference from maybe a year ago is Diego Gonzalez is finally eligible to play now, and he's probably going to be the guy that kicks off, but very solid trio right there.
Yeah, the kicking portion of the CU Buffs should be in good hands or maybe good feet with Dar O'Neill and Will Oliver. But the thing that can't be overlooked here is you're trading long snappers. You're having to break in a new long snapper this year. Ryan Iverson is gone, and the guy taking his place is Wyatt Tucker-Smith from the South. He's from Mississippi. And from all accounts, he's done a good job filling in for Iverson, but those are really big shoes to fill. Iverson was a 4-year starter and a really good snapper.
Obviously, BG's bad fishing luck is rubbing off on me, so I'm going to change flies here while we're talking about the CSU game. Hey, Butch, this week on Friday night, Rocky Mountain Showdown, Colorado State. Obviously, I think when you talk about the momentum for this season, important to get this thing off to a successful start, or maybe a quick start for Mike McIntyre's Buffaloes.
Yeah, the Rocky Mountain Showdown, it just seems to get bigger every year for both teams. I know at CU, these guys talk about it as the game that really starts the season, gets the momentum going. And I think none of that really is oversold. I think it's a huge game. So getting off to a good start is always imperative for the Buffs, and I don't think you can underestimate the importance of this ball game. It's big for a number of reasons, and I think CU is ready to play it.
Take it. Come on, you know you want it. Take it. Well, one thing I'm positive of, and that is the Buffaloes are going to have better luck this season than we've had so far in the Blue River here. But we're not giving up just yet. Going to be a great game on Friday night as the Buffaloes meet up with Colorado State in the Rocky Mountain Showdown. By the way, our radio broadcast starts at 5 o'clock over on AM 760 this week. Kickoff just after 7 o'clock. For BG Brooks, I'm Mark Johnson. We're going to keep fishing because we're catching fish. But we'll talk to you next time.